Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's video with a story that proves karma can come on 4 wheels and 8 sweaty linebackers. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Dude parked in a tow zone during our move. We became the tow truck. Back in the early 90s, a buddy of mine bought his first house, a big moment, especially for a group of single 20-somethings who mostly still lived in apartments or with their parents. Naturally, a move was in order, and he recruited his usual crew of softball buddies with the time-honored currency of free beer and pizza. We were in. He was moving out of a 20-story apartment building on the side of a steep hill because, of course, this is Pittsburgh and flat ground is a myth. The front of the building faced sharply downhill, but the back was dug into the hill, creating a narrow access road that led to the building's rear entrance. Now, this wasn't a loading dock exactly, but it was the de facto move-in, move-out zone. There were signs everywhere. 15-minute loading only. No parking. Tow zone. You get the picture. The rear drive was about 18 feet wide, and you could only really back a truck in, stop at the entrance, load up, and leave. You blocked the drive while you loaded, but it was tolerated because it was temporary. So we show up early, back in the rental box truck, and boom, there it is, a shiny late-model Toyota Camry parked directly in front of the rear entrance, totally blocking access. Not slightly in the way, not squeezing the line. No, this thing was parked full-on where you're clearly not supposed to. No hazard lights, no sign of life, just a screw you, I'm more important kind of park job. No big deal, we thought. Let's get everything from the apartment down to the door, and maybe they'll be gone by then. So we started schlepping. It took nearly 2 hours. Stairs, elevators, couches, boxes, more stairs, you name it. We built a nice mountain of furniture just inside the building, poised and ready to go, and the Camry still sitting there, mocking us. We were sweaty, tired, and cranky, but then one of the guys, let's call him Greg, looked at the group and said, "You know, we've got 8 dudes here. Each one of us is over 6 feet. Most of us hit the gym or play ball. I say we move it." At first, we all laughed. Then the silence fell. Then the grin started. Yeah, we're gonna move that damn car. So we spaced out around the Camry, gave it a little test lift, and yep, it was doable. We coordinated like a bunch of linebackers on a mission and lifted that thing clean off the ground. Once we had it airborne, we slowly pivoted it sideways so it was perpendicular to the drive, nose pointed toward one side wall, tail to the other. We placed it flush against the end of the brick wall, maybe a foot of clearance at either end. Oh, and the driver's side? Pinned right up against the wall. That baby wasn't going anywhere unless someone picked it up again. But it was out of the way, and we could finally back the truck in and get the job done. 30 minutes later, the truck was loaded, the apartment was empty, and we took off, laughing about the impromptu Camry relocation service we'd just launched. About 2 hours after that, my buddy went back to do a final walkthrough and return his keys, and wouldn't you know it, the car was still there, wedged sideways like a Tetris piece that wouldn't fit, and standing next to it was a very stressed-out man on his phone. Maybe 5'4", 120 pounds, soaking wet, pacing and muttering with his equally irritated wife standing beside him. The guy was clearly confused, flustered, and not equipped to move a car that now required a SWAT team to unstick. No idea how long it took him to free the Camry. Maybe he called some buddies, maybe a tow truck, or maybe he just had a breakdown right there on the curb. But one thing was clear. He learned the hard way that you don't park in clearly marked no parking zones, especially when they're the only access point for 20-story buildings. Was it petty? Sure. Was it satisfying? You bet. And to this day, every time one of us helps someone move, someone always jokes, "Let's hope there's no Camry." I imagine the moment where you realized you all could just lift the car was a moment where all of you just smiled in unison. And our second story. Boss revoked time off, demanded documentation. Jesse went full compliance and broke him. Just read a post about a sick leave policy backfiring, and it reminded me of the absolute legend I used to work with. Let me introduce you to Jesse. Jesse was a retired U.S. Marine, Guamanian by birth, and one of the coolest, most unshakable guys you'd ever meet. Chill as hell, sharp as a tack, and built like a rock, both in body and in mindset. He worked hard, never complained, always had your back, and brought this steady, easy energy to the team. Everyone respected him. Everyone liked him. You couldn't rattle the guy if you tried, until the new boss rolled in. Our new supervisor was a brown-noser of Olympic caliber, one of those guys who treated every passing comment from upper management like a commandment carved in stone. No loyalty to the team, no common sense, just pure, undiluted suck-up energy. It didn't matter if a policy made people miserable or crushed morale. If it came from above, he enforced it with a ridiculous amount of enthusiasm. The kind of guy who'd bring his own whistle to a dodgeball game no one wanted to play. Anyway, as the holidays approached, the usual tug-of-war over time off began. We had a strict 50% staffing policy, meaning no more than half the team could be on leave at once. Around Thanksgiving and Christmas, it got cutthroat. Everyone wanted out. But this time, Superboss decided to be a holiday hero for the company. He tightened staffing to 75%, basically telling us no one gets time off. He canceled everyone's approved leave slips without so much as a warning. Cue the sudden outbreak of mystery illnesses. People started getting sick left and right. New boss didn't like that one bit. So what does he do? Implements a mandatory doctor's note policy for every sick day. Cough, need a note. Sore ankle, note. Dentist appointment, you guessed it, note. It backfired spectacularly, of course. We all had decent insurance, so a $25 copay became a day-off voucher, and everyone started cashing in like it was Christmas at the pharmacy. But the person it hit hardest was Jesse. Jesse was in his 60s and had all sorts of health issues creeping up on him. His knees were shot, his back was giving out, and he had his schedule packed with doctor appointments. But after about the 6th or 7th time Jesse got dressed down in front of everyone for excessive sick leave, he snapped. And oh man, when Jesse snapped, he didn't shout, he researched. He dug into the union contract and found a gem. Nowhere did it specify that a doctor's note had to be from a physician. All it said was documentation. So Jesse went full compliance mode. Felt sick? He turned in a CVS receipt for Tylenol. Dentist appointment? Brought in a fridge magnet reminder for his next cleaning. And the crown jewel, his colonoscopy. Jesse walked into the office, calm as ever, and handed the boss a printed screenshot of the inside of his own colon as his documentation. The look on our supervisor's face? Priceless. The man didn't know whether to gag or cry. Jesse just smiled and said, "You wanted notes? That's the inside of my body. Enjoy." A few weeks later, Jesse retired on his terms with full honors, and the entire office treated him like a hero walking off into the sunset. The boss never really recovered. The sick note policy quietly vanished soon after. Jesse left behind an empty desk, a signed copy of the union contract on the bulletin board, and one final framed photo of that colonoscopy hanging just above it, a parting gift. The place hasn't been the same since. This was a great story. I thought it was going to be another "and the doctor wrote a note for 3 weeks" story. And our last story. Karen accused me of theft, smashed my door with a hammer, and called 911 on me. Oh boy, Reddit, buckle up, because I got a story that sounds like it came straight from a rejected episode of Desperate Housewives HOA edition. So I moved into this neighborhood about 6 months ago. Nothing fancy, just a quiet suburban street, a decent-sized yard, and mostly chill neighbors. Everything was fine. Until I met Karen. From the minute the moving truck left my driveway, Karen made it very clear she wasn't thrilled with the new arrival. You know the look, arms folded, jaw clenched, that squinty-eyed glare people get when you park 2 inches too close to their imaginary property line. But whatever, I'm not here to make enemies. I figured she was just another nosy neighbor who'd get bored once she realized I wasn't throwing ragers every weekend. Oh, how wrong I was. Fast forward to this past Monday. I'm working from home, enjoying my second cup of coffee, when I hear what sounds like the front door trying to escape its hinges. Bang, bang, bang. I jump up, startled, and peek through the peephole, and there she is, Karen, dressed in a bathrobe, wild-eyed and clutching an actual hammer. She's screaming bloody murder. "I know you took my package. Open this door, you thief." At first, I thought maybe she was having some kind of breakdown. I cracked the door slightly and tried to talk her down. Me: "What are you talking about? I didn't take anything." Karen: "Liar, I saw you. My Amazon order is missing and it was delivered today. You're the only one who could have taken it." Then she starts pounding the hammer against my door frame, and I'm not talking metaphorical pounding. She was full-on smashing, like she was reenacting The Shining. Paint chipped, dents formed. I honestly thought she was going to break the damn door down. So I did what any sane person would do. I grabbed my phone and called 911. But while I'm on the phone with emergency services, Karen whips out her phone and calls 911 on me. Yes, while actively destroying my property with a hammer, she called the police to report me for stealing her package. You can't make this stuff up. About 10 minutes later, 2 squad cars roll up, lights flashing, neighbors peeking through their curtains like it's primetime drama. Karen's still standing in my yard, hammer in one hand, phone in the other, crying and pointing at my house like she just uncovered a major Amazon theft ring. The officers separate us and take our statements. I show them the damage, and then the kicker, I hand over my phone and play back the video. I started recording halfway through her tantrum. Crystal clear footage of Karen screaming, swinging, and calling me every name in the book. Her tone changes really fast. She tries to say I must have taken the package and hidden it, that her Ring camera malfunctioned, but she knew it was me. She's rambling at this point, and the officers are having none of it. They asked for the package tracking info. Turns out the package was delivered, just not to my address. It was left on the porch of someone 2 blocks over who later dropped it off at her house after all this went down. So to recap, Karen didn't have proof. Karen didn't lose her package. Karen did, however, destroy my door, threaten me with a hammer, falsely accuse me of theft, and waste police time. She got cuffed right there in my yard. Charges include destruction of property, filing a false report, and trespassing. And I wasn't even the first person she's harassed, apparently. Once the siren stopped, a couple neighbors came over to spill the tea. She's accused people of poisoning her plants, tapping her Wi-Fi, and letting their dogs bark at her too long. Everyone's had a Karen incident. I just happened to get the grand finale. I filed a restraining order. My door's being replaced, and I installed security cameras with audio and floodlights facing every direction. I'm not messing around. Some people don't need a reason to hate you. Karen needed a villain, and I just happened to move in across the street. But next time she wants to star in a suburban melodrama, she better check the plot twist, because this time she's the one who got written out. This wasn't a one-time explosion. This was the series finale after a long run of neighborhood chaos. She's been out here collecting enemies like it's Pokemon Go, and finally someone had the footage to end her boss level. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.